The job seemed easy enough. St. Mercy's Hospital had been shut down for 30 years, a crumbling relic of the past, slated for demolition. Your task as the new night guard was straightforward. Watch the cameras, patrol the halls once an hour, and ensure no one sneaked into the building. Simple, or so you thought. Your first night began uneventfully. The building was silent, save for the occasional groan of old pipes. The stale scent of mildew hung in the air, and the dim emergency lights cast long, eerie shadows on the cracked walls. You did your rounds, flashlight in hand, navigating the labyrinth of corridors. You couldn't shake the feeling that you were being watched, but every time you turned around, there was nothing but empty halls. At 1 a.m. you returned to the security office to check the camera feeds. Most of the monitors showed the same still lifeless halls you just walked through. But then you noticed it, a wheelchair sitting in the middle of a corridor on the 3rd floor. You'd walked that floor less than 15 minutes ago, and you were certain it hadn't been there before. Brushing off the unease, you grabbed your flashlight and made your way back to the 3rd floor. The wheelchair was exactly where the camera had shown it, facing a window overlooking the darkened parking lot. The air around it felt colder, heavier. You nudged the wheelchair with your foot, and it rolled a few inches forward, its wheels squeaking softly. Satisfied that it was just an old relic left behind, you returned to the office. At 2 a.m., the camera feeds flickered. Static filled the monitors, and for a moment you saw nothing but snow. Then one by one, the feeds returned, but something was wrong. Figures appeared in the footage, shadowy, indistinct shapes in hospital gowns, moving slowly through the halls. They didn't walk like normal people. Their movements were jerky, unnatural. You stared at the screens, heart pounding. Grabbing your flashlight again, you ventured into the halls. This time, the silence was oppressive, and every creak of the floorboards beneath your boots sent a shiver down your spine. You reached the 2nd floor and froze. Wet footprints trailed across the tile, leading into a room marked morgue. The door creaked open as you approached. Your flashlight's beam swept over empty gurneys and rusted medical equipment. The room smelled of decay and something else, something metallic. The footprints stopped at the far wall, where an old steel freezer door stood slightly ajar. You reached out to push it open when a loud crackle erupted from your walkie-talkie. Startled, you dropped the flashlight, and the beam spun wildly before going dark. Scrambling to pick it up, you heard something faint behind you, a whisper, your name. You whipped around, flashlight shaking in your grip, but the room was empty. The whispers grew louder, coming from all directions. At 3 a.m., the cam feeds flickered again. This time, a figure stood directly in front of the camera on the 4th floor. It was a patient, pale and gaunt, with hollow eyes and a crooked grin. They leaned closer to the lens, their lips moving. Through the static, their voice crackled over the speaker. "You shouldn't be here." The power went out. The monitors went black, and the emergency lights flickered weakly. The whispers returned, louder now, coming from just outside the office door. Your flashlight flickered as you swung it toward the sound. The door handle jiggled, and you backed into the desk, heart hammering. In the dim light, you noticed the camera feed on your phone still worked. You opened the app and saw something that made your blood run cold. The security office, viewed from the hallway outside. The camera showed you sitting at the desk, staring at the monitors. But you weren't alone. A tall, shadowy figure stood behind you, its skeletal hand reaching for your shoulder. The whispers stopped. The door behind you creaked open. You didn't sleep the next day. You spent hours rewatching the footage, scrubbing through frames, looking for explanations. You called the security company. They claimed no one else had access to the building. No pranksters, no power surges, no records of past staff. You considered quitting. But the money was too good, and you didn't want to be seen as weak. Night 2. Same shift, same routine. The air felt thicker, like the building was breathing. You brought a thermos of coffee and a wooden crucifix your grandmother had given you years ago. By midnight, you had already seen the wheelchair again, move to a different hallway. This time, the whispering started earlier. You were on the second floor when the overhead lights flickered, and you heard the unmistakable sound of something dragging across the linoleum floor. You followed the noise to the pediatric wing, a section you'd sworn you wouldn't go near after seeing a shadow dart across the hallway the night before. Drawings still lined the walls, crayon-colored families with bright sunshines and smiling stick figures. All of them were torn down the center. Every single one. Inside the old playroom, a mobile spun above an empty crib. The air turned cold. Your breath fogged. Then, the TV mounted in the corner switched on by itself. It displayed static for a moment, then a grainy image of the security office, again showing you sitting alone. But this time there was a child sitting on the floor next to you, staring up at you with glowing white eyes. You ran, no hesitation, downstairs, into the lobby. The front doors wouldn't budge. They were chained shut from the outside. You pounded against the glass until your knuckles bled, but no one came. No one ever came. 3 a.m. A soft melody began playing overhead. The hospital's old lullaby system. It hadn't worked in decades. You turned and saw the same child from the TV standing at the end. Then another figure joined. Then another. Pale, gaunt, hollow-eyed patients filled the hallway in silence. All facing you. Your phone buzzed. Unknown number. Room 413. That room didn't exist. You knew the layout by heart now. The hospital only went up to the 3rd floor. But when you turned the corner, a staircase had appeared. It led up. You should have run. Should have smashed a window, screamed, called for help. But something compelled you to climb. One step after another, heart in your throat. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mysteries. The 4th floor was pristine, white, silent, smelling faintly of antiseptic. A single door stood at the end of the hall, 413. You reached for the handle. The door opened on its own. Inside, the room was filled with dozens of hospital beds, all facing a black and white television that flickered with images of your patrols, your life, your thoughts. Each bed held a patient, their faces covered in gauze, unmoving, except one. A man sat upright, smiling. His mouth moved, but you heard the words in your mind. You came back. Now you can stay. The lights went out. You woke up in the security chair. Morning light streamed through the windows. The cameras were empty. The front door was open. But the staircase to the 4th floor was gone. Your shift ended. You left. You promised never to return. That night your phone buzzed again. Unknown number. See you tonight. Room 413 is waiting. Like, share, and subscribe for